Hey guys, thanks for joining today. Before we get started, I wanted to take a look at a couple of actually 3 different experiences that came from gaming, starting into the 90s up into what's going on today, and what we're doing around management of many IoT devices in the effort to create experiences that have never been created before, which of course is an entirely new challenge and with quite a few issues. So the first thing I have here, and this is all about how experiences react to what users are doing, or in this case, what users are not doing. So Sonic here, this is Sonic CD. When a user is not playing with actually doing an input in the controller, during idle, Sonic does this little animation. So that's pretty interesting. No interaction there. This next example here is for a game for the Sega Dreamcast, released in '99, called Seaman. This is also Angry Video Game Nerd. If you don't get offended by bad language and things like that, I highly recommend taking a look at him on YouTube. So this is a game that is very, very interesting. There were a couple of interesting things that were shipped with the Dreamcast, including, for this specific experience, a microphone. And again, this was late 90s.
Important part of the game comes in, the speech. That's right, this microphone isn't just for decoration. This is how you talk to the seamen. Hello?
Hello.
It's alive. The creatures evolve slowly over time. This is a game all about patience. You spend most of the time waiting as things happen. You feed the fish, raise the heat back up, raise the oxygen, talk to the seamen, and keep them to live long and prosper. That's about all there is to it. You turn off the game, come back to it a day later, or 5 minutes later, like me.
You visit often. If one didn't know better, one might assume you're quite obsessed, or you have nothing better to do.
Oh, I have better things to do.
So that is the late Leonard Nimoy who narrated the game. So this next experience is, anyone play Overwatch? Recent game by Blizzard. So really interesting. Everything is about heroes. You play the hero, and without any interaction from the user, based on what you do, like proximity between different heroes, they actually talk to each other in an effort to be a bit more immersive and provide more engagement from the user to the experience itself.
Sorry, it's such a mess in here. I wasn't expecting company.
I can't see to take you seriously right now. Races in 30 seconds. We're working together.
Don't think I'm happy about that. Lucio, I'll brace you. Sorry, big guy. Grandma, you know I have a poster for our rollout.
I remember the poster. I have some days.
You were giving those guns to tossing around like trash.
So I don't know if you noticed in there, there is a circular wheel where you can communicate with other users on your team through basically pre-canned responses. You have the ability to change your emote and a couple of other things. But what you just saw here is essentially a conversation between these different characters that was not done at all by the players themselves. It was automatically done by the game engine. So this last example is No Man's Sky. So No Man's Sky is a completely procedurally generated world using deterministic algorithms and random number generators. What's really interesting about this is that there are over 18 quintillion worlds, so many of them to do QA, they had to essentially build a system that would deploy probes to do exactly what it says here, to ensure that what was generated is actually accurate. So there are a couple of things that I wanted to just quickly mention here. So before we get into the nightmare itself regarding IoT, so what we like to say is experience abstractions enable next generation runtimes that organically respond to n number of inputs through time, reflection, and learning. And what that essentially means is, similarly to what you saw with Overwatch, based on what players do, in a very transparent way, the engine responds to that. Now, the problem with that kind of runtime is that it's all baked in. And that's what we'll talk about here in a moment, and how we can solve that. And then additionally, transparent interfaces enable action-reaction cycles through natural human behavior, often through, we'll call it bot proxies. So you can think of this as like Alexa. Very, very natural way to interact with this IoT device. And there are a number of different ways that you can phrase a certain thing, have different collection. There's a number of different ways that you can ask Alexa something and get a very similar result. So, where it's the opportunity, we're looking at a massive amount of user. Oh, am I back on? So, with IoT devices, we're looking at a massive amount of user behavior data. We're looking at just interacting with an assistant-based device like Alexa or Siri, which fortunately is going to be open to us very soon, or even just say down to a Fitbit or a simple heart rate monitor that we can relate to individual users and groups. This is very, very high resolution user behavior that we can capture. This, in addition to cloud technologies, HPC, or high performance computing using GPUs, we can capture as much of the experience through multiple IoT devices and then recreate that experience. Using machine learning, we can attempt to predict what users are going to do at scale based on behavior that came prior to any sort of active experience.